Hi, this is Natalie Cabello, and I wanted to talk about diversity and how it relates to classroom behavioral management. Okay. So, in my ideal classroom management and using positive behavior interventions and supports are having clear expectations and consequences. So, what do I mean by this? Is having 3 to 5 big rules that are elaborated on and operationalized um, with the students' input. For example, they can come up with be honest, be safe, be honest, be diligent. But that is not enough for students because sometimes they're not clear about what being respectful, being safe, being honest, being diligent looks like. So we have to tell them what that looks like. Um, and that will take some time in getting students to understand what we're looking for when we mean these things. But once they understand, these 3 to 5 rules will serve as a reminder to um, to follow the classroom and school rules. And consequences should be logical and fit the situation. So, for example, if a student made a mess in the room, the logical consequence would be helping them clean up that mess. Would be them helping clean up the mess, not some other consequence like getting a timeout or something like that. It should so in other words, the punishments should fit the crime. Um, so and if problems arise, the first step would be to determine if it's class wide, isolated, or individual. So if it's class wide, then it might be time to talk with maybe the school counselor or the school psychologist for ideas on how to deal with these classroom management issues. If it's isolated, then a simple reminder to follow the rules might be enough. And if it's individual, then we might want to look at is uh, what is going on with the student or students. And then the second step would be to determine the antecedents and consequences of the problem. So, what happened before the problem arose and what happened after that. And as always, ask the student input for solutions. So, helping students think through what happened and having them be part of the solution is, is very important for them to learn those self awareness and self regulation skills that they need. And if social problems happen, it's important to get to the root of the problem, as is fostering a sense of agency. So helping students understand that they have uh, control over their reactions to what happens, even if they don't always have control over what happens. We can always choose how we respond to the problems that we face, and then helping students develop a plan for for managing that problem. Um, because without a plan, the problem will probably get bigger and more serious. So here's a problem solving strategy that can be taught to elementary school students, and it's called FAST, and it stands for freeze and think, alternatives, solution evaluation, and try it. So this is to help students stop and think uh, about different solutions to any problems they may be having. So the first one, freeze and think, is just stopping and thinking for a moment uh, of what the problem is, and then A, alternatives, is coming up with all the different possible solutions, even if they are not feasible. And from there, S, solution evaluation, here's where we go through all the possible solutions and select the most um, the most feasible, the most convenient, or the the best solution. And T, the last step is try it. So actually trying the solution and see if it works. So this is designed to increase in self-awareness, problem-solving skills, negotiation skills, social skills, and self-regulation skills. Um, as far as implementation in the classroom, I would explain the strategy to students as to when to use it and why. So when to use it would be when they would feel overwhelmed, stressed, or stuck. And why? To help them slow down, analyze, and think of good solutions. Because sometimes our first instinct is not always right. Um, and once we think through uh, different solutions, we might find that we might have done something different if we had just stopped and thought about what we were doing. And this is especially true for children whose frontal lobes are not developed yet. Um, and this is training them to slow down and think of better ways to handle problems. And then once I explain the strategy to students, I would have them role play some situations for practice. And then after that, I would encourage them to use this strategy whenever they have problems, or maybe remind them, is this a good time to use the FAST strategy, or something like that. My concerns would be, especially for younger students, they may get hung up on alternatives and not decide on a solution, or maybe select a solution that is not the best one, even after thinking it through. But this is where we as adults come in to help guide them um, towards solutions that benefit everybody involved. So, and as far as arranging the instructional environment, using a variety of instructional arrangements is very important so that students maximize their learning. So, large group, small group, cooperative learning, independent learning, peer teaching, and classified peer tutoring all have their place depending on um, the different activities that we might have them do. Um, so large group instruction would be when we have to, for example, give instructions or model something for the whole class. Um, small group would be for students who uh, may be struggling um, with certain concepts or or um, or skills. Um, cooperative learning is where students are uh, and the teacher are when the students excuse me when all the students are learning from each other. Independent learning is when students have acquired enough proficiency to be able to complete that assignment on their own. Peer teaching would be having students uh, more a student who's who has mastered the concept or skill teach a student who hasn't mastered that skill or concept yet. Um, so one of them serves as a teacher and the other serves as a student. Um, and the class-wide peer tutoring is pairing off students um, either by similar groupings or different groupings, but usually different abilities, so that one serves as a tutor and the other serves as a tutee. And like I said before, selecting appropriate arrangement for different activities is important. So this prevents and manages off-task behavior and maximizes learning. Um, so it it would probably, for example, it would probably not be a very good idea to have students independently practice a concept or skill they have not mastered yet, um, or using small group instruction for something that the whole class needs to know, or needs to be modeled for the whole class. And well, that is it for the for diversity as it pertains to classroom behavioral management.